Welcome to the Spirit of a Badass, where we celebrate stories of courage, hope, and resiliency. I'm your host, Alecia Jacobson.
Hello, badasses. Welcome to today's show. I'm thrilled that you are here, and I'm even more thrilled for my guest today. My guest is someone that I have been trying to get on the podcast for probably over a year, and I am so excited that she's here because I think she is one of the most interesting people. The way that she speaks, people hear it in a way that needs to be heard. And I feel fortunate that I get to be a part of her world in some small way. And I want you to be able to be a part of her world in this way. So I'm really glad that she is here. Welcome, Niketa Miller. She is a digital content creator in her free time and just overall awesome any other time. She is passionate about raising awareness and funds for pancreatic cancer and started her own nonprofit in 2021. Welcome, Niketa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I like how you said a part of your world. You made me feel like Ariel. So
if I could, you could probably sing better than I could sing, but you could. It makes me want to like start singing random songs that I will just start going. But I try to keep that to a minimum on this platform, just in my house. All right. So welcome. I feel like when I was kind of thinking about the questions I wanted to ask you, I feel like there are so many, because for some people I bring them on and it's like, okay, here is your kind of story that we talk about. And for you, I feel like there is just you have so much good information that you give out there to the Facebook and internet world that I think it causes people to think differently and have a different perspective, hopefully. And that is what I want to infuse in this conversation today.
We'll roll with it.
How does that, when I say that, like, what does that stir up in you?
I hear it a lot. If you ask most people who know me and when they talk about me or anything, I just say all I do is post on Facebook. I just talk about how I feel and I try to be really authentic. I don't worry a lot about what people might think of something because it's how I feel. And it might hurt feelings, but as long as there's truth in there, we can work through what feelings we touch, who we might offend. And in the end, if I care that I offended someone, I might sit down and talk with them about it. But you never know. Whatever happens, happens. We roll with it.
Roll with it. I like that. All right. So that is actually one of the questions that I had written down for you. You have this essence of like a boldness and a confidence about you. And I find that very admirable. And I think other people, that's something that most don't have. And it's something that they would like to kind of cultivate. So how did you get that? And how do you hold on to that?
Well, it's easy to say I was born with it. No, it takes time. It takes trials and tribulations, not to be like super cliche, but you have to get to a point where you just say F it. Or you just say, I'm going to start caring about myself. You go based off of things that have happened to you. We all have different chapters in our life. We're all a different person at some point in our life. If you haven't gone through something that has questioned your thought process, who you are, who you want to be, and haven't come out of that a better person, then you can't do this. If you stay stagnant within your little bubble, your world, because you're too afraid to make a change, you can't do it. So it's learning with everything that has ever happened, whether it's a breakup, losing someone you love that meant the world to you, or even just losing a job. If you can't figure out something that can change yourself for the better, who you are, who you want to be, what your goals are, then you aren't getting to know yourself. And you have to know yourself well enough to know what I like, what I don't like, what might change, what could change, what I might need to change back in order to just be your authentic self. And I think most of it is just me focusing on being my authentic self. I don't want to give anybody a fake version or a representative of me when they first meet me. I need you to know this is Niketa. Now, this is who you're going to like or you're not going to like me. You're going to admire me or you're going to hate me. And that's a you problem. That has nothing to do with me. As long as I give you who I am and I give you my, like I said, authentic self with all of the passion, all of everything that I can give, that's all I can tell you.
I have kind of had a very backseat view into this just by reading your post and watching you online. You said, a breakup, losing people, a loss of a job. Before that, who were you? Before you had these things that you went through, what were you like then?
I was just a person figuring things out, like just living my life. I've always been the same bold person. I remember a note that my 5th grade teacher gave to my mom, and it said, Niketa is a leader, not a follower. I didn't know what that meant in 5th grade, really. But if I think back to what it's like being a child, they're the kids who tag on to other kids. And then, especially a young girl, you got a group of friends one week. You don't have those same friends next week because someone told someone that we don't like Niketa this week. Or we love Niketa this week, but Niketa, we don't like Anne this week. And Niketa didn't care who told her who they didn't like. She did whatever she wanted to do. So like I said, I didn't want to say that I was born with it, but I've always been this type of person. This has to do with my mother and my grandma, most importantly. Both of them molded me and shaped me into the person that I am today. But with all that, you grow into your likes and you just kind of grow into who you're going to be. So yeah, like I said, it's just morphed like a Mighty Morphin Power Ranger, the Purple Ranger. She just keeps changing and getting better for herself and using experiences that you may not have experienced before to guide you, like feelings you might not have had before, feelings of being lost, feelings of being not loved, feelings of maybe self-esteem issues that you haven't really dealt with, but you just powered through. And now looking back, you're like, oh, maybe this is what I was going through. Maybe this is why people acted the way they did and I responded the way I did. Like I said, it just you just grow. It's so lame to say that. I can't give anybody advice, but your gut and your believing in yourself is most important. And so many people push down their inside voice to either cater to others, to not be seen, just to make themselves small. And you making yourself small doesn't benefit anyone, especially it doesn't benefit yourself.
Could you share with us one of those situations and how you went through it, the kind of thought process, as much as you can, that you had, and then reflecting back because I think what I heard you say is you, even after the situation, in reflection, you were still able to gather and learn and evolve into your Purple Power Ranger, which I haven't thought about the Power Rangers, I don't think, in probably like 30 years. So thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate it, actually. I talk about the Care Bears a lot. And sometimes when I talk about the Care Bears, I just have people like, I don't know what that is. And I'm like, oh, you missed me by like 10 years. Anyway, can you share with us any one of those situations that was really impactful for you and helped kind of just push you further and evolve to who you are?
I think for me, what I need to make sure that I make clear is it might not have happened right away in that moment, after that moment, a year from that moment. It could be years from now. Let's just take being high school, being plus size in high school in the 90s. So the 90s we're talking about, and I think for me, that reflecting on this now is because of the body positivity movement. We're going, it was here. I think it's trying to go away, but it's kind of trying to stick. But I've seen lots of posts about how lots of females hated their bodies and disliked their bodies in the 90s because of the way models looked. They were real thin, like so thin. We saw them in videos. We saw them in the clubs, everything. They were having eating disorders left and right. And lots of people were posting about how crazy it was that this is what we thought was beautiful. This is what we thought what we needed to be. And like the epidemic at that time to be skinny was crazy. I lived in that time. I remember people telling me that I was big or I was pretty for a big girl or I had a pretty face. I remember I moved to another city to go to school, and I still had friends from my old school, and they went to a basketball camp with some gentlemen, I should call them now, that were at my new school, and they were talking about me. My best friend from my old school, he was talking about me, and he said that the one guy was like, yeah, Nikita has a big ass. Like, ew, it's so gross. And like things of that nature. And it came back to me, and I was just like, okay. But I was one of the only Black people in my school, in my class. I mean, there might have been two other in the school, but I was one of the only ones. So I already stood out number one. So I had this in my head. I saw that nobody looked like me throughout my whole high school career. Their body shape, of course, skin color. Nobody looked like me. And I think back to how I went and how I lived, and I just was me. And I just did what I wanted to do. And I think about that now, and I think about how people said how difficult it was. And I was just like, you know what? I always thought that I was beautiful. I was always told that I was beautiful, but I never really did anything about it. I never said anything about it. I never shared anything about it. And there's so many people that I see that are so caught up in what other people think what is beautiful instead of what they believe is beautiful. So something that if you're friends with me on Facebook, you'll notice I take selfies of myself. I share clothing that I wear. I share how much I love me because that's important to me. And I've been told that I inspire others, or I've helped others figure out, clothing that they could wear, places they could find things, just because I love me. And I want other people to love themselves. And I want to inspire people to love themselves. I didn't realize I wanted to do that. I didn't realize I was doing that. I was just doing me and being proud of who I am. And it took a few years to make that outwardly show. And I think that's really important. I could feel that inside. And I always did feel that inside. No one knew that. But to outwardly show it and to express it and to see other people this is how I feel. This is me. I believe in me. I love me. You don't have to love me. I'm actually not a fan of if you don't, because it's not my business. How you feel about me is not my business. How I feel about me is my business. And I love me. So that's something I realized later on to express it. I knew it back then. I wasn't worried about what people thought about me back then, but I didn't express it. And so by not expressing it, I allowed people to think that they could treat me and talk to me in any manner that they chose. And so now I've taken that to say, no, you can't. Access denied.
That is why I fucking love you. You have, that is it right there. This access denied. It's like you have such a beautiful way of saying, we're done here. I'm like, fuck you. Like let me just torch the whole thing down. If you just say it it's just, I love it so much. Access denied. All right. So this is who you are. It's who you've always been, which I totally understand. You have said a couple of things about your mom and then especially your grandma. A lot of the people listening are parents, mothers. A lot of them had horrible messaging growing up. The amount of women that I work with that had extremely destructive messages from their mothers specifically, and then are trying to be different. But it's hard because they have one side of them that has all this fucked up messaging, and then they're trying to go and be like the complete opposite of that. And it sounds like you had wonderful women giving you access to building and nurturing that part of you. Can you share a little bit about that?
I was blessed. I just watched my mom. My mom struggled. I've seen things. She had relationships that didn't work out, but she got through them and she had support to get through them. She might not have always asked right at the beginning, which, everyone says, when it's happening, ask. In that moment, you're trying to be strong for your children. You're trying to be strong for yourself. And I watched her go through this, but then I also watched her ask for help. And I watched my grandmother help when need be. And even when maybe my mom didn't know my grandma knew something was going on because maybe I had a big mouth, but she would still help out. I watched my grandma. My grandma didn't look like she struggled with anything, but I knew how she grew up, and she didn't grow up in the best. She didn't have the best relationships, the best support. She was on her own for a lot of her life, but she figured it out. She knew what she had to do in order to, take care of her children, get them a better life, maybe move them from a city they were familiar with to a newer city, just to take care of them, support them for her work, for her business. And I just watched that. And that's just how I became who I am. And I just now I just see the little things that they did. And when you're a little kid, you don't really notice too much. But when you look back and you think about stories you've heard, or you're able to have those conversations with the people that raised you, you get to know about the stuff that you didn't know and how they survived and how they got through it. And also, you want to be the best you could be for them. So going to, the people that were raised maybe not in the best circumstances, now it's time for you to be the best that you can be for you. And so it's hard to get the bad noise out. But if you are aware and cognizant enough to know that those are the bad things and you want to make a change, you're already there. So you need to just take full access and grasp the good, the way you want to do something, and just do it. You're the only one in your head questioning this. No one knows this internal that's going in your head. Outwardly, it's up to you what you represent, who you're going to be, who you want people to see. You already have the tools, so who's questioning it in your head? Now, if you have that other person that's still around, that's in your ear, creating that noise, now we have to figure out how to cancel them or turn them down a little bit. You either want to make them aware that you've changed, and then that's not enough, or you want to let them just be, and they could come at you how they want to come at you, but you're still going forward with what you're going to do. It's kind of like how you treat a narcissist. So a narcissist is going to treat you how they want to see you. They want to sometimes beat you down. They want to make you believe that you're not good enough. They want to make you believe others don't think you're good enough. They have other people coming at you, telling you things about you, how you react. We call them flying monkeys. They just come at you and they're just like, and you're feeling weak, you're feeling low, you're starting to believe those things about you. You get away from the narcissist just a tiny bit and you realize, this is not me. I'm not this person. I know I'm not this person. I've survived before I met this person. Now, why, when I'm with them, all of a sudden I'm nothing. I feel like a shell of nobody. So you have to figure out who you are. Now, if you have kids with this person, or if you still have to be around this person, they're still going to be here. They're still going to be in your ear. But now you just turn into a rock, and we call it a gray rock. And you just let them come at you. And it's like, we'll go back to Power Rangers or a shield, Captain America. You have this shield now where all of that stuff bounces off. They can come at you. You can be, We just don't react. We don't react. And we go do what we want to do and still be who we are, because that's what we're strong. When we were little kids, what did they say? I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say bounces off me and sticks to you. It's so silly, but it's what you have to do. It's easy to say yes, but as you work on it, you get better at it. And when you get better at it, you believe in yourself. And the more you believe in yourself, the more you can do what you're set out to do, and just keep remembering what you're set out to do. You want your children to see this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful human being who loves them no matter what and would do whatever they want. And when they can see that, they can do what you would like, and they can start to see the things around you that might be negative, and they see you powering through that. It's so easy to say. It's very hard to work on, but it's so worth it.
Yeah. I mean, you started off by saying you kind of were talking about loving yourself. If you hear these negative things, it's once you start loving yourself, that spills over. And some of that is blocking out the noise of other people, whether they are a narcissist or just people who are negative and critical and kind of making you question yourself and go into that space.
Yep. And it's so little. It doesn't have to be. I mean, I know the word narcissist gets thrown around, but there's narcissistic personality traits. And so it's self-absorbed, but it's so intricate because there are these traits that try to beat people down or try to make someone feel less than. And so you just have to really focus on, why do I feel this way? Is this really something that I am? Is this really something I need to fix? And how do you do that? Some people have to journal. Some people have to write it down. Some people just have to sit with themselves and think about it. It's finding yourself and loving yourself. And it doesn't have to be something so aggressive. It could be little mosquito bites of things like, oh, you walk funny. They just do little things. They don't have to be major. And I think some people think that it has to be something so major, so negative that someone said about you that could get to you. But it's these little things over time that built up so big that you don't even remember who you are anymore. And so getting in tune with yourself somehow, some way, figuring it out, even if it's little by little, and being like, yeah, I remember they said that. That's not true. Check. And going through the negative things or the negative ways or the thoughts that you might have about yourself inside, and just going those and battling through those.
Yeah. Thank you. What are some life lessons that you've either learned or you think that it would be good for people to know that we haven't already touched on?
What are some life lessons? Oh, man. It's just so important to be as authentic as you possibly can. And it's so scary because when you are authentic, when you are assertive, in the most positive ways, you're still going to get negativity towards you. You're still going to get people who challenge you, who challenge how strong you are, because they're either intimidated or they're jealous or they're just not strong enough themselves. So they try to sabotage you. So that's something I've gone through my whole life. Like, it's not sunshine and roses being me, being authentic. I have to battle in the corporate world, in the real world, all of the time to establish who I am. And I think one of the things you learn as you get older and you are someone who is unapologetically you is that you have to stop explaining things to people. You have to stop explaining who you are. You have to stop explaining why you feel this way. I don't have to apologize for how you made me feel. I don't have to explain to you how you made me feel. If you hurt my feelings and I say you hurt my feelings, that's the end. I don't need to go get a dissertation and explain to you one by one what you did and how you did it. I didn't like it. That's it. Now, if I want to explain to you, I have just given you a gift. That means I have given you an opportunity to stay in my life for 2 freaking seconds more.
I love you. I love you. All right, let's go back. You said in the corporate world, because that is something where I practice this with people. Their work environment is a tricky one. So how did you do that?
I'm still working on it. Okay, so on top of being very assertive, authentic, I'm a Black woman. So I've got checks against me the minute I open my mouth or step through a door, because, I am aggressive and abrasive and all of these things. So that's also turned me into the person that I am in a way, because I have this smile that I use as a weapon. I have my laugh, the infamous Niketa laugh that I use as a weapon, because you have to sometimes, there are people in the workplace who are passive aggressive. There are lots of passive aggressive people. There are lots of people who don't like conflict. There are lots of things that happen where you need an answer. We don't need this wishy-washy business. There's a situation, something went wrong. We need to address how it got there. There are people who don't like to get how it got there. We like to play the blame game, or we like to make up a scenario of how something happened. And when we leave that meeting, there's no solution. And it happens all the time. And if you're someone who says, nope, that's not what happened. This is how it worked. This is actually, I have a question on how we're dealing with this. Now it looks like you're causing issues, you're causing a problem. So now you look like the problem. But ultimately, you're just trying to get to the problem and solve the problem. I used to be very careful. I used to not speak up and just watch it burn. Like I'd be like, well, I remember when I asked you that question and said, you really think we should be doing it that way? And then you said, oh, don't worry about it. It's not your problem. And now it blew up. So remember that? So I used to not even, I just didn't watch. And then I get to a point where I can't watch this. If you want me to be passionate about my job, I can't watch this. I was blessed enough at one job to have a manager who was just very similar to me. She was a little bit more authentic than I was, but she understood. I would say she wasn't as assertive as me, but she had a different way of doing things. And she was very authentic, but she still had a little passive aggressiveness in there. So we had to have conversations about, this is how I deal. I'm very direct. I'm not being mean. I'm very factual. And if the facts hurt, I'm sorry, but that's what happened. And so I've learned that I have to, when I meet with someone, or if I even in an interview sometimes, if I feel comfortable enough, and usually I can read a room very well and read people very well. If I'm comfortable enough, I share that I need someone who understands that I'm very direct. I need a supervisor who's direct. I need someone who tells me exactly what they want to do and not just go around it and be like, hey, I would like you to do this. Okay, well, why would you like me to do this? What is the outcome of this? What do you want the outcome of this to be? What would you like to see? Because sometimes they give you stuff and they'll be like, I don't really know. I'm not sure. I don't really know. Well, I'm not going to put hours and hours into something for you to come back and tell me that's not what you wanted, because that helps no one. And I actually had this conversation with my most recent manager and said, I just don't know how you want. I didn't know how much this meant. I didn't know how important this was. You never told me. When you give me a task, you don't tell me what you're looking for in it. I can't function like that. I just can't. So if we can work together on you just telling me, it's not going to hurt my feelings. It's not going to, I just need to know what you're looking for. And they were like, oh, okay, wow, yes, that makes so much sense. And so then I feel more comfortable asking questions. And when I ask questions and they're like, oh my gosh, that helps me. That makes me realize that you guys don't know this. Oh, I'm just assuming that you guys have all the knowledge I have. Ma'am, we started a year ago. You've been here for 10. We don't have the same knowledge as you. So my other coworkers just let it fly. And then they're like, okay, what do we have to do? We have to figure this out. And then they're going to go research no, if we have the person with the knowledge here, this is who we ask the questions. Then we don't get stuck. So being able to ask those questions, but not being afraid and not being pushed down because you're worried that you're going to be the outspoken one or people are going to look at you as aggressive. Some people actually appreciate it because they know that they can't speak up. They're waiting for you to say something so they can, I'm just going to piggyback off of that. What we were talking before, I kind of feel, I agree. And they feel like you've opened a door for them, that you've helped them. One thing people will do is pile on something. It's a mob mentality. We know lots of things we can take as an example of this. So people will pile on, but they need someone to speak how they feel about things. So they 100% didn't say exactly that they felt that same way, but they can add something to it. So that happens a lot because, especially in corporate, unfortunately, the people who don't speak up, the passive aggressive people, the people who might make themselves out to be a victim, get believed more and backed more because there's no conflict. And clearly they're not a problem. So they realize that, hey, I can maneuver people. I can make people think these things because no one else is going to say anything. And so for someone who's very direct and assertive, that can be harmful to them because no one's listening to you until shit hits the fan. But if you happen to have someone who's direct and assertive behind you, working with you to help you get through these things that work together, people are going to start paying attention and listening and being like, hey, wait a minute. What they've been saying over here isn't true. We've been following this. This is how we got here. And so I can't tell you what a blessing it is to have someone who speaks out or helps you get through things. I have a current job where it's a situation where I work with someone who is similar to me. It's a little bit different. I got a little pizzazz in my jazz, and they're just very direct. So people think that they're rude. People think that they're bossy. They're just not friendly person, but actually this person is very passionate about their job. They come to work. They care about what we do. And so it gets misconstrued because the other people are passive aggressive and they're lazy and they don't go a direct route. And so this person is getting shitted on. And let's say maybe I'm not a big fan of this person, but all of a sudden Niketa sees this person is being attacked and she's being attacked wrongly. So now I gotta defend this person. Like, now I have to be like a hero to someone I didn't even like to begin with.
Damn it!
Because y'all are acting crazy. And now we're best friends.
Oh, I love that. Have you done the Enneagram at all?
Is that weirdo letter thing? Which one is that?
It's a number.
Oh, the number? Oh, no, I don't think so.
You sound like an 8.
I feel like I'm a 7. Just kidding. I don't know. I've done so many things.
Yeah.
Yeah, just send it to me.
I love that you're like, well, this is just who I am. And like, damn it. Now I have to go and do this because I don't like this person particularly. However, this is wrong. And now I have to do something and say something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, a little pickle. I'm glad that you're friends now.
Do you remember that one time that I think it was the first time the current man ran, and then people said that Oprah was going to run or Oprah should run. And then people were like, wow. And they were like trashing her, like just trashing her. And it was just terrible the things they were going to say. I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't want Oprah to run, but now I got to go in here and defend her. And that wasn't even my plan today. That's what happens. And I just know.
I love you. That wasn't even, I want to that's what I should do. I should just go stalk your social media and take the things that you say and just put like Niketa quotes all over, because the thing, like, that wasn't my plan today. Like, fuck it. Although I feel like my life is like that sometimes. I'm like, damn, I did not have this in my day to be all fired up.
Yeah, no, I did not have this in my day to be fired up about this.
But here we are.
Here we are. And here is a TikTok about it. No. I get my tiny mic. It's time.
Yes. Okay. Last thing. One of the things I'm doing here on the podcast is sharing information about local organizations in order to encourage people to get involved either with their time, energy, money, in any sort of way. And you have an organization that I would like you to share about. I would like you to just tell people how they can get involved, about the organization, and then kind of who gets involved, meaning, is this where you give a donation? Is this a family thing? Is this, what kind of person would this be a good organization for?
Yeah, so my organization is called Ebony Eyes Foundation. We raise awareness for pancreatic cancer mostly, but also brain cancer and colon cancer. Those are the cancers that have touched my life and the lives of people I love the most, but also just raising awareness for cancer in general. If it's something that I see or I care about or I want to do, I will get all my people together and we will rally together to help them out. It started because my grandmother passed away from pancreatic cancer in 2009, and I had been advocate and volunteer for the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network for years after that. I was the media relations chair. I was the affiliate chair. I was the communications chair. I did a lot. I played a lot of roles, and it just got to a point where I wanted to do something that I could do, that I had control of, and just do events that I wanted to do. And I just wanted to do a little bit more than a run walk. A run walk is sometimes just can be a somber occasion. People don't share why they're there, or people are just in their little personal bubble. When you're in the process of losing someone, or someone's fighting a battle that is terminal, you think it's only you and you don't really realize what's out there. You're just kind of stuck. And I know my family was in that point when we went to our first run walk. So I want to have events where people can be celebrated and their memory kept alive in a fun way. So like volleyball tournaments, bowling outings, golf outings, shuffleboard, adult prom. We're in Wisconsin, so people like alcohol, but you don't always have to have alcohol. Just doing events like that could be fun. So that's how we kind of started. And then we kind of morphed a little to do things like sponsoring families during the holidays, which is one of my favorite things we do. We sponsor a family or two from the Badger Childhood Cancer Network, and we sponsor families for them around the holidays. And one thing that my grandmother did, she loved to do sponsoring families for the United Way, and she was always in charge of it. And she always went to shopping. She had lists. She got everybody's money and went. And so this was something that I just wanted to do in her memory. So we do that every year. And we just have, when that comes around, we have people who want to be in. I have lots of friends who love to be involved, but they just like to give me money. And they give me money and I do the shopping. So around that time when we sponsor a family, they just donate money. And then I keep the totals of what we donate. And then I share all of the things that I bought. I share all the things that the family have requested. And we do that way. Other ways we raise money, we raise it through the events that we have, but lots of times people just do send donations. And with those donations later on, if I see a family that's in need that might be struggling, we can give them like a meal, or we give them, a little bit help to go along the way. And lots of times I just donate to other foundations that are really important to me. So I fundraise, to donate to organizations that actually can get the work done, because lots of people don't even know what organizations are out there. So I work hard to find those organizations. Like I said, the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network is a great organization that helps with studies. They actually have a care center that you can talk to, a patient advocate, care advocates. So you can donate. And I hope that as our events get bigger, then we'll need volunteers to help out. But we always do ask for volunteers when we're having events to donate maybe auction items or raffle items. And, it just kind of, we're feeling it out, but we're doing a great job. And I have such a wonderful support system. It's just unbelievable.
Okay. How can people get in contact with you? Like where can they find you? And then also where can they find information about Ebony Eyes?
So you can find information about Ebony Eyes Foundation at www.ebonyeyesfoundation.com. Yeah, I got it. That's our website. And then also we are Ebony Eyes Foundation on Facebook. You can look at Instagram, but I don't use Instagram very much. So Facebook is really where I actually will post things, but we have the website and you can donate directly to the website, which is awesome. Or you can even donate on Facebook. And then one more thing, if you or someone you know has been touched by pancreatic cancer and you guys don't know what to do, any type of cancer, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, brain cancer, you can reach out to me and I can give you the resources. That's what's most important, is letting people know, because if you don't know, you can't do. So more importantly, I want to raise awareness. Funds are great, but we can't raise funds if we're not aware. So if you have any questions, if someone's facing it, you want to direct them to me, feel free. But that's just how you find us, www.ebonyeyesfoundation.com.
Wonderful. And how can people find you? Do you want people to find you? Like if they hear you and they're like, I need more of you. Do you want people to find you?
You can find me on the Facebook. And sometimes my Facebook directly goes to Instagram, so you can find me there. You can find me on the TikToks. It's Niketa Ray. My Facebook is completely and totally public. So that's how authentic I am. It's all public.
Okay. Thank you so much. And I'll put all those links in the show notes so that people can find them there. And if that foundation speaks to you, I hope that you will go and check it out and see how you can get involved. Another way that you can kind of help, you could share content. And, if you know somebody like, oh, I think this person might like that, go and share it. And let's really just get involved in community is my goal with people. Thank you, Niketa. This was everything I had hoped it would be. for as long as I've been trying to get you to come and share all of your goodness with the listeners.
My word vomit.
I love your word vomit.
It's purple and sparkly.
Oh, I didn't even I have to hold something because otherwise I touch my face weirdly the entire time. I didn't even realize I had a purple. Nikita's color is purple.
Those are the pens I use when I'm serving.
Do you?
Yes.
This is what I use for work. I just have color and it makes me happy. So this was
I love
random and perfect that I picked this color. All right, Niketa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you are loving this podcast, I would be so grateful for your vote in the Best of Madison 2025. The first round of voting is from February 1st to the 28th, and you can vote one time each day. To vote, all you need to do is follow the link in the show notes, and you will find the Arts and Entertainment category, and then Best Local Podcast. Just write in Spirit of a Badass. Thank you so much for your continued support and allowing this podcast to reach more people.
Spirit of a Badass is a Lit Path Studios podcast and is produced by Jamie Gale and Alecia Jacobson. Music by Shane Ivers. We'll be back with another inspiring interview. Until then, keep your spirits high and your energy badass.